So we shall begin with the article which has appeared in the Hindu on 13th December 2024. So the article is Pakistan at the UNSC, the points of its compass. Okay. So UNSC, we already know about it. What is UNSC? United Nations Security Council. So it is one of the organ of UN, or it's a specialized agency of UN? It's a organ of UN. So already we know about the background of UNSC. Okay. So as and when required, we shall try to recall the provisions pertaining to United Nations Security Council. Okay. So now let us begin. So on January 1, 2025, Pakistan enters the United Nations Security Council as an elected non-permanent member for a 2-year term, its 8th. See here. Look at this content. So whether there are any points important from Plim's point of view? Yes. There are many points which are important from Plim's point of view. Okay. So we shall not restrict or confine ourselves to the content which is present over here. We should go beyond this content in understanding these things. So here we know about United Nations Security Council. It's what kind of body? It's a organ of UN. Okay. There are 6 main organs of UN that we have seen: General Assembly, Security Council, International Court of Justice, Trusteeship Council, Economic and Social Council, and Secretariat. Okay. So here we also know that UNSC consists of how many members? 15 members. 5 permanent plus 10 non-permanent members. Now they have said that Pakistan has recently been elected as a non-permanent member. Pakistan has been elected as a non-permanent member. Okay, non-permanent member. So in the examination, what kind of questions can be framed? So Pakistan has never been a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. True or false? False. Okay. So recently it became a member of United Nations Security Council for 8th time. So this is the 8th time that Pakistan is becoming member of United Nations Security Council. We have also seen about India, right, while discussing. India has also become a member of United Nations Security Council for 8 times. And recent tenure started in 2022. Okay. But when did this tenure of Pakistan start? All these things are not important. Okay, not important. But from this context, we shall again recall the static point of content. UNSC, it has 5 permanent members and 10 non-permanent members. So we should be able to recall the 5 permanent members. Who are the 5 permanent members? USA, Russia, China, France, UK. So these are the 5 permanent members. So this content we'll recall. So again, this is a kind of revision from the static point of view. Okay. Next, when a non-permanent member gets elected to United Nations Security Council, what will be their tenure? 2 years. They have given here 2 years. So now next, the work which I have assigned. So from this article, you have to frame as many prelims questions as possible. So yesterday, I saw few of you have shared the questions in the group. They are not up to the mark. It appears that in a hurry-burry, you have created a question. So that should not happen. When I assigned you some work, already questions are available of the UPSC. You just look at the standard, the type of statements which they have framed. And don't write in your notebook. Type it and send it. Okay, that will be more professional. So you have to create as many questions as possible based on this article, not the static part which we have discussed. Okay. So from first paragraph, yes, we saw content which are beneficial from Plim's point of view. Of course, the same content will be beneficial from mains point of view as well. But here we have segregated the content from Plim's point of view. Okay, Plim's point of view. Next, second paragraph. So again, you might have already done the work related to difficult words and meaning related things. Okay. So in the first paragraph, I think there are no such words. Okay. So second paragraph, Pakistan's entry is significant in that effectively half of the 10 elected members of the UNSC will be from the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So this is very important. So now Pakistan has become a member of United Nations Security Council. What kind of member? Permanent member or non-permanent member? Pakistan has become a non-permanent member. But this time it is very important. Why? Because effectively half of the 10 elected members of the UNSC will be from the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Now we came across an organization called as Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Now from UPSC point of view, we need to have that curiosity. What is Organization for Islamic Cooperation? Okay. When was it formed? When was it formed? This is extra information that you are supposed to collect. Okay. When was it formed? Where is its headquarter located? Where is its headquarter located? Next, when it comes to members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, you need not make a list of all the members, not necessary. You need not make a list of all the members. So generally, if I ask you any country, will you be able to tell me whether it is part of OIC or not? If it is an Islamic country, obviously it will be part of OIC. For example, Pakistan, it will be a member of OIC. Afghanistan, OIC. Bangladesh, Saudi Arabia. So you need not make a list. You need not make a list. But here, what he is saying is, so among the 10 non-permanent members, 5 are the countries such that they are members of OIC. Okay, OIC. So this point is not important from exam point of view. Okay. Means how many members of OIC are part of the non-permanent members of UNSC, such kind of questions will not be framed. In the mains you can quote. If you want, you can quote in mains. But for us, what is important here is Organization for Islamic Cooperation, extra information that we are supposed to add. So when did it start? Headquarters. Okay. So few members. I'll just list Pakistan or few other countries. The entire exhaustive list is not required. Okay, not required. Next, those elected for 2025-26 were, so recently when Pakistan got elected to United Nations Security Council, along with Pakistan, few other countries also got elected. Who are they? Denmark, Greece, Pakistan is there, Panama, Somalia. Okay, Somalia. Now in the examination, they will never focus on the non-permanent members. Keep it in mind. Okay, they'll never ask you like who among the following are presently non-permanent members of United Nations Security Council. Such kind of questions will not be asked. It means you need not memorize this list, not important. If you want, you can add it, but from the UPSC exams demand point of view, I am very much sure that such question will not be asked. So you need not memorize this list. Okay, out of curiosity, if you want to add, you can add, but not required. Okay, not required. But you should be able to identify where is Denmark located, in which continent? Europe. Where is Greece located? Europe. Pakistan. Where is Panama located? Between North America and South America? Or, yes? Yes, so there Panama. Somalia, where it is located? Africa. So at least you should be able to identify. That perfection is not required. At least you should be able to identify the continent. That's it. So they will replace Ecuador, Japan, Malta, Mozambique and Switzerland as the terms end on December 31. So here an important point we have to note. Whenever a country becomes a member of United Nations Security Council, it becomes member on January 21. And its membership will end on December 31. Okay, December 31. This is very important. 2 years term starts on January 1 and ends on December 31. Okay, 31. If it starts in 2025, January 1, then it will end on December 31, 2026. Okay, 26. So recently Denmark, Greece, Pakistan, Panama and Somalia, they got elected. But before them, who are the countries who are present in the United Nations Security Council as non-permanent members? Ecuador was there, Japan was there, Malta was there, Mozambique, Switzerland. Again, this is not important from Klim's point of view. But we need to at least identify the continent where these countries are present. So where is Ecuador present? South America. Where is Japan present? Asia. Where is Malta present? In Mediterranean Sea. Cyprus, Malta. Mozambique, where it is located? Africa. Okay. Switzerland, where it is located? Europe. Okay, Europe. But not important. The new members will join Algeria, Guyana, the Republic of Korea, Sierra Leone, Slovenia, who are existing non-permanent members. So now, all the 15 members will not be elected at the same time. Only few members will be elected. The rest members will be elected next year. So presently, who all are members of United Nations Security Council, non-permanent members? Algeria is there, Guyana is there, Republic of Korea is there, Sierra Leone is there, Slovenia is there. So to these countries, extra 5 countries got added. Denmark, Greece, Pakistan, Panama and Somalia. Here also these countries are not important. But just let us try to identify where these countries are located. Where is Algeria located? Africa. Guyana? South America. Republic of Korea? Asia. Sierra Leone? Africa. Slovenia? Europe. Adriatic Sea surrounding countries, if you recall. So Morocco, Algeria, not Morocco, Adriatic Sea. Albania, Bosnia, Slovenia, Croatia, we have seen, right? So Slovenia is a European country. So that much if you are able to identify, sufficient. So here in this entire paragraph you have read and we have understood, but the only point from which we are supposed to prepare notes from the prelims point of view is Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Okay, nothing else. Only this point is important. Okay, important. So shall move to next paragraph. Afghanistan will be a natural focus, with Pakistan sure to use its council to stints to repair its frosty relations with the Taliban. Okay, so what does it indicate? Afghanistan will be a natural focus. Whose focus? Pakistan's focus. Okay, with Pakistan sure to use its council stint to repair its frosty relations with Taliban. So when I say Taliban, which country comes to your mind? When I say Taliban, it is Afghanistan. So from this we understand that presently Pakistan is not enjoying a good relationship with Taliban of Afghanistan. Presently Pakistan is not enjoying a good relationship with the Taliban of Afghanistan. What is Taliban? Taliban is the organization in Afghanistan. Okay, it's a terrorist organization in Afghanistan. So now the author is saying that Pakistan, once it becomes the member of United Nations Security Council, it will try to build its relationship with Taliban. Because Pakistan, it cannot strain its relationship with Taliban. It always wants to have a good relationship with Taliban. Because of some reasons, the relationship with Taliban have been spoiled. But now Pakistan wants to rebuild its relationship. How it is possible? Because now it has become a part of the United Nations Security Council. Now it will be enjoying few powers, some important powers. So by using these powers, it wants to rebuild its relationship with Taliban. Okay. Again, from exam point of view, not important. From mains point of view, we can quote. From prelims point of view, not important. From prelims point of view, what we can understand? Taliban is an organization present in which country? Afghanistan. That much is sufficient. So whether Pakistan enjoys a good relationship with the Taliban presently or not, this is not important from prelims point of view. Okay. In this, it has Russia and China to readily assist it in the diplomatic rehabilitation of the Taliban. Okay. Now Pakistan, it wants to build a good relationship with whom? With Taliban, okay, of Afghanistan. But it also requires support of other members. Okay, so specially, who is going to extend support to Pakistan? Here they are mentioned. In this, it has Russia and China to readily assist it in the diplomatic rehabilitation of the Taliban. So when Pakistan wants to build a good relationship with Taliban, so Pakistan will have a support of Russia and China. Where? In United Nations Security Council. Because we know that in United Nations Security Council, Russia and China are permanent members. So when any important decision has to be taken in favor of Pakistan, so who will come to help Pakistan? Russia and China will come. So by using the help of Russia and China, Afghanistan will try to build a good relationship with Taliban of Afghanistan. Okay, in this fashion you should connect the things. Again, not important from prelims point of view. Okay, but from prelims point of view, what is important is who are the permanent members of United Nations Security Council. Again, the same things which we have learned in the static part, we are revisiting under the dynamic aspects while going through the newspaper. Okay. Next, with the OIC countries, one hopes that the Council gets all the support it needs for a ceasefire in Gaza to salvage from the rubble whatever is left of the Palestinian cause and stabilize the region. Very important. Okay, very important. How it is important? Now, presently we know about the problem that is going on in the Middle East. That is Israel, Israel's attack on Palestine. So in 2023, so Palestine's a terrorist organization attacked Israel, and the Israel started retaliation. It started taking revenge, and continuously it is attacking Palestine. Now we want to cool down the situation in the Middle East. We want to bring that war to an end. But in order to bring that war to an end, who can play an important role? United Nations Security Council. The United Nations Security Council, it has to tell to Israel, yes, you stop war on Palestine. UNSC has to tell to Israel that you should stop war on Palestine. Then what? Israel will stop. But among the UNSC permanent members, who constantly supports Israel? USA is always in support of Israel. Okay, Israel. But now in UNSC, among the non-permanent members, so half members, that is 5 members, are from Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So when members are of Islamic Cooperation, so obviously they will be taking a stand in favor of Islamic country, that is Palestine. Okay, so they will be taking a stand in favor of Palestine, Palestine's cause. So now, as with the OIC countries. How many OIC countries are there? 5 OIC countries are part of UNSC presently. Okay, UNSC non-permanent member. So with the OIC countries, one hopes that the council gets all the support it needs for a ceasefire in Gaza. So what is ceasefire in Gaza? So Gaza is located in, it comes in the context of Israel and Palestine. So Gaza is a place in Israel, okay, part of Israel. So whatever the war that is going on, ceasefire means we have to stop it. So now these OIC countries can play an important role in bringing the ceasefire in Gaza, okay, so that to salvage from the rubble whatever is left. Already whatever the destruction is there that has taken place, but the remaining destruction, to save it, okay, to save it and to stand for the Palestine's cause and stabilize the region. Now OIC can play an important role, okay, important role. Again, these are what statements made. We are not sure what kind of developments will take place. Now again we shall focus on the prelims point of view. Okay, so what are the points that are important from prelims point of view? One, we already know OIC countries. Which are the OIC countries? The same will repeat. Next, the council gets all its support, they are saying. Now we should go back to the static part. When I say UNSC, so in order to take any decision, how many members support is required? 9 members support is required. Okay, so these are not present here, but you should recall it. 9 members support is required. But who can exercise the veto power? Permanent members can exercise veto power. Okay. Now, can a permanent member remain absent during the decision taking? Yes. In such abstention, can they take decision? Yes, they can take decision. So these are the static parts which we are able to recall and we are able to connect here. Okay, we are able to connect here. Next, ceasefire in Gaza. From the examination point of view, where is Gaza located? Now in the examination, they will make a statement like this. The term Gaza, which appears in the newspaper, appears in the context of Africa, North America, South America, Middle East. Middle East. To be very specific, it is part of Israel-Palestine issue. Okay. Whatever is left of the Palestinian cause. So what is Palestinian cause? What is Palestinian cause? Palestinian cause means Palestine wants a separate nation of its own. Now it is part of the Israel. So there is no clear demarcation. Some countries have accepted Palestine as a separate country, but others have not accepted. So Palestinian cause is Palestine wants its own country. Okay, its own country. Okay, own country. Now who are supporting the Palestine cause? The Islamic countries. It may be Saudi Arabia, it may be Yemen, it may be Oman, it may be Qatar, it may be Muscat, it may be Iran, it may be Tehran, it may be Iraq. All of them are supporting the what? Palestinian cause. Okay, but who is against the Palestinian cause? Israel. Israel don't want the Palestinians to form their own nation. Okay, nation. And Israel is supported by the most powerful country of the world, that is USA. Okay, so it's a very complex relationship. Okay, so what kind of relationship does USA enjoys with Saudi Arabia? Good relationship. What kind of relationship does USA enjoy with Iran? Bad relationship. What kind of relationship do Saudi Arabia and Iran enjoy? Bad. They are rivals. Okay, very complex. When it comes to Palestinian cause, both Iran and Saudi Arabia, they want Palestine to be liberated. A separate country has to be formed. But internally in Middle East, both of them are rivals. Saudi Arabia is a Sunni-dominated country. Iran is a Shia-dominated country. Okay, so both of them, they want to control the Middle East. Okay, control the Middle East. So that's why we have seen about the proxy wars. So we have discussed about Houthi rebels. Where they are present? Yemen. Houthi rebels are present in Yemen. They are supported by whom? Iran. Okay. Hezbollah are present where? Lebanon. Hezbollah are Shia or Sunni? Shia. Supported by whom? Iran. So these are all very complex things. So all these things we should be able to connect. Okay. Next, stabilize the region. So what is stabilize the region? Presently the region is undergoing a problem. So hence we have to stabilize the region. So how that opportunity is provided? That opportunity is provided because half of the non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council presently, they are Muslim countries because they are members of Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So with this support, there are chances that we can bring peace in the Middle Eastern region, especially Israel and Palestine. Israel and Palestine. Peacekeeping is another of Pakistan's stated priorities, given its role as a major troop contributing country for the UN peacekeeping. Okay, here we came across a very important term, UN peacekeeping. So what is UN peacekeeping? Now across the world, wherever a war is going on, for example, it may be in Africa or it may be in Europe, okay, or it may be in Latin America. So whenever a war is going on, in order to stop that war, okay, so United Nations will send some army. United Nations will send some army to Africa, some army to Europe, some army to Latin America. This army is called as UN peacekeeping mission. Okay, so when the army is being sent to Africa, so the army people, they do not belong to one single country, they belong to all the countries of the world. Some of the people from India will be representing, some from USA, some from Japan, some from Russia, some from China. So all of them will participate in the peacekeeping mission. So these army people of different countries, they merge together, they'll form a unit and they'll go to different countries to bring peace in that region. To bring peace in that region. So that is called as UN peacekeeping. Okay, UN peacekeeping. So here, peacekeeping is another of the Pakistan's stated priorities given its role as a major troop contributing country of the UN peacekeeping. Now, Pakistan, as it has become a member of the United Nations Security Council, its priority is to build peace. I don't know to what extent it is true, because in India and in the surrounding places, it is creating a threat of terrorism, but at the global level, it wants to build peace. So we shall not go into deeper aspects of it. What we shall assume here is, now Pakistan, whether it contributes to UN peacekeeping or not. Yes, peacekeeping mission. So Pakistan also sends its soldiers. Only that much we shall remember. So rest all the information is not important. Okay, not important. However, Pakistan's default mode will be to focus on India. So irrespective of all these things, the major focus of Pakistan will be on India. Okay, on India. So what India should expect? India and Pakistan relations are still strained. So whether India and Pakistan enjoy a good relationship? No. Strained means relationship are not good. Again, not important from Plim's point of view. In the mains you can quote. Even if one assumes that some back channels are busy working the lines, it is a given that enhanced bilateral cooperation does not necessarily result in enhanced multilateral cooperation, especially in the UN. Okay. So even though some people, some government officials of the India and Pakistan, they may be discussing in the background to build a good relationship. Okay. But that is, it is given that enhanced bilateral cooperation. So that kind of cooperation does not necessarily result in enhanced multilateral cooperation. So that does not mean that they are going to cooperate at all the levels. Okay, at the United Nations level and all. So India and Pakistan, they are going to cooperate. The chances are very low. So again, none of the points are important from Plim's point of view. Not important. This is true not just of Pakistan, but also of countries India considers close friends even in the global south. Okay. So this is true not just of Pakistan, but also of countries India considers close friends even in the global south. So whatever the above discussions that we have made, so this is not only with respect to Pakistan and India, but also every other country which enjoys a good relationship with India. So here from the Plim's point of view, what point is important is, what is global south? What is global south? Developing countries. Okay, developing countries. For example, some OIC countries with which India has very close bilateral relations line up behind Pakistani drafts in the UN which have anti-India language. Very important. So what does it mean? Some OIC countries with which India has very close bilateral relations line up behind Pakistani drafts in UN which have anti-India language. So in United Nations Security Council, there will be some resolutions moved. Some resolutions will be moved against India. In United Nations Security Council, there will be some resolutions will be moved against India. Okay, against India. Now there are some countries, for example, let us take Somalia. Somalia is a member of OIC. Just to cross-verify it once in the internet, whether Somalia is a member of OIC. Yes? Okay. Now we shall take an example. Somalia, it enjoys a good relationship with India. But when United Nations moves a resolution against India, so who will move a resolution in United Nations Security Council against India? Pakistan. In the United Nations Security Council, the only country which will move a resolution against India is Pakistan. Okay, Pakistan. Now Somalia, what it will do? Somalia enjoys a good relationship with India. So whether it will support India or it will support Pakistan? It will support Pakistan because it's a member of OIC. So that's what they are saying here. Okay. For example, some OIC countries with which India has very close bilateral relations, example Somalia, line up behind Pakistan's drafts in the UN which have anti-India language. Okay, anti-India language. So again, this point is not important from Plim's point of view. Just generic understanding is important. Okay, understanding is important. They even argue ingeniously that offensive language is not aimed at India. They even argue ingeniously that offensive language is not aimed at India, not leave it. Fortunately, there is help usually from the unexpected friends in such groups, enabling India to tide over the issues successfully. Okay. So fortunately, so let us assume UNSC, it moves a resolution against India. So what are the chances of resolution being succeeding, whether they are more or less? The chances of UNSC resolution moved against India succeeding are less. Why it is less? Because Pakistan may support, Somalia may support, all the other countries might support, but two countries, they are what? There are less chances of them supporting the resolution. Which are they? USA, another one is Russia. Because India enjoys a very good relationship with USA, India enjoys a very good relationship with Russia. So here they are not given, but based on the understanding which we have, we should be able to connect the dots. So what they are given? Fortunately, there is help usually from unexpected friends. Who are these unexpected friends? USA and China. In such groups, enabling India to tide over the issues successfully. So it will help India so that it will not suffer that resolution. Okay. Example is USA and Russia. So again, none of these points are important from prelims point of view. Here the only point which we encountered and it is important is the meaning of the term called as Global South. Rest all things, understanding is important. Okay, understanding is important, but we need not make any kind of points. Okay, points. Next, to state the obvious, India should be prepared for Pakistan's anti-India initiatives in the UNSC. Okay, so whatever the Pakistan does in the United Nations Security Council, India should be prepared. Okay, so that is what the author is mentioning, not important. Again, when I say UNSC, all the things should be recalled. How many members are there in UNSC? 5 plus 10. Which are the permanent members? Any non-permanent member, for how many years you will be elected? Okay, so these all things again you should recall when I say UNSC. There was a brief period of in 2012 when there was some synergy between the missions of both the countries in the UN when both nations were in the council, but that was an aberration. So again here there is a point. What kind of point can be framed in prelims? There is no point, there is no point in the United Nations Security Council history wherein both India and Pakistan have become its non-permanent member at the same time. True or false? There is no point in the history of United Nations Security Council wherein Pakistan and India have become its non-permanent members at the same time. Now, just now Pakistan has become member, but before that India was member for 2 years. But both of them, they did not become members of the UNSC at the same time. Now my question is whether there was a point in history wherein both Pakistan and India, both of them became the member of United Nations Security Council at the same time. It's true. See here. I also don't know, but by reading this article I understood. What is this? There was a brief period in 2012 when there was some synergy between the missions of both the countries in the event when both nations were in the council. They will not give you a ready-made answer and feed you. By reading this statement, you should understand that in 2012, there was some small period during which period both India and Pakistan were part of the Security Council at the same time. So, from this prelims point of view, a statement can be formed. A statement can be formed. Okay, but that was an aberration. So, it's an exception. Such things rarely happen, but at that time it happened. Okay, it happened. Pakistan is back to its multilateral default mode of being anti-India. So generally Pakistan is about anti-India. So that much we'll focus. Rest all is not important. And in this, it now has more assertive Iran brother in China. Iran brother in China. So all these days, Pakistan has always opposed India. But now, along with Pakistan, Pakistan has a great support when it comes to opposing India. Which is that support? Iron brother. It's like a steel brother. Whenever Pakistan wants to wage any kind of things with India, it has the support of China. Okay, support of China. Offering it an all-weather friendship. So China offers all-weather friendship. Means only in good times I will be with you. In bad times I will not be with you. That is not a measure sign of good friendship. So it's all-weather friendship means, okay, it's either summer season or winter season, all the season. Whether irrespective of any conditions, China will always support Pakistan as far as anti-India measures are considered. Okay, so this point is important from mains point of view. So prelims they will not ask you. So who will come to the support of Pakistan when it wants to initiate any kind of anti-India steps? No, such kind of questions will not be framed. But understanding is important from mains point of view. Okay, point of view. Pakistan's first stated priority is to combat terrorism. Okay, so it's a paradox. So Pakistan says that it wants to stop terrorism, but in fact it supports terrorism. But anyhow, so Pakistan it is saying that our priority is to combat terrorism. We want to stop terrorism. which it hopes will absolve it of the tag of terrorist state. Okay, so generally Pakistan is called as a terrorist state. Why? Because majority of the world's terrorists, they are produced in Pakistan. So it wants to get relieved of that status. Now all the world calls Pakistan as a terrorist state. Now it no longer wants that status. So that's why it is fighting to overcome that status, and hence it is trying to combat terrorism. Okay, terrorism it's trying to bring measures to stop terrorism. Okay, terrorism. It will also, again, any points are important here from PLIM's point of view? Only one point. Both India and Pakistan were part of the UNSC at one point of time. Okay, at the same time. It will also try, as it always does, to slip that tag onto India. So when someone calls Pakistan as a terrorist state, it gets very angry. So what it will say, so we are not terrorist state, India is a terrorist state. But the whole world knows who is a terrorist state. Okay, the whole world knows who is a terrorist state. So even if you ask any small child of USA also, it will say Pakistan. Of Russia also, it will say Pakistan. Of China also, it will say Pakistan. So you take any country of any of the world, so when you ask them which is a terrorist state, it is Pakistan. But they don't want to take that blame. They want to place that blame on India. Okay, but that is not possible. The list of Pakistan-based and Pakistani terrorist organizations associated with. So there are some terrorist organizations that have been listed here. Okay, ISIL. Okay, next, Al-Qaeda. Under UNSC Resolution 1267, mandated sanctions including the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed is a long and instructive. The list of Pakistan-based and Pakistani terrorist organizations associated with the ISIL and Al-Qaeda under resolutions mandated sanctions including the Al-Qaeda and Jaish-e-Mohammed. So here what we have to understand, these points are not important from PLIM's point of view. In the examination they may ask, ISIL or Daesh, what it is? It's a terrorist organization. Al-Qaeda, terrorist organization. Lashkar-e-Taiba, terrorist organization. Jaish-e-Mohammed, it's a terrorist organization. So either they are Pakistan based, okay, so all these organizations are Pakistan based. Here important one word which is important from PLIM's point of view is UNSC Resolution 1267. What is UNSC Resolution 1267? Okay, so it deals with terrorist organizations. It deals with terrorist organizations. So this resolution is important. Is a long and instructive. In retaliation, Pakistan has spread several dossiers to the UN Secretary General that have fancy claims of Indian terrorist attacks on Pakistan. Anything to keep the anti-India pot boiling. Okay. So as there are so many terrorist organizations in Pakistan, the world is well aware of it. So Pakistan, what it does is, repeatedly it will write letters, dossiers means letters, to UN Secretary General, stating that India has made some kind of terrorist attacks in Pakistan. It will just make a fancy claim. There is no proof for it. Okay, so why? Because it just want to keep its anti-India agenda on top of the list. But there are no clues to say that Indian terrorist attack have taken place in Pakistan. Okay, Pakistan. Here, we came across a term called as UN Secretary General. Very important. We already discussed in the static part. UN Secretary General. He is the head of which organization? Secretariat. So who is going to appoint him? United Nations General Assembly. Now when it comes to appointment of UN Secretary General, can United Nations Security Council exercise its veto power? This you have to think. Yes, they can exercise the veto power. So when UN Secretary Council General, it appears in the newspaper, we should not just stick to it. We should go beyond it. So when we are going beyond it, that static notes are already provided. Okay. So whenever UN Secretary General comes, you need not search in the internet. Whatever the notes are provided, if you just go through it, then you'll get an idea. So UN Secretary General is the head of the Secretariat. So who appoints him? He is appointed by UN General Assembly. But who recommends? United Nations Security Council. As United Nations makes the recommendation to Security Council makes the recommendation to United Nations General Assembly, United Nations Security Council can prevent a person from becoming the Security General. Okay, it can exercise its veto as far as appointing of UN Secretary General is considered. Okay. So again, here in the entire paragraph, only two things are important. UNSC Resolution 1267 deals with terrorist-related organizations, and next, UN Secretary General. Extra information, as I mentioned, have to be added or it has to be recalled. Okay, as part of the revision. As part of the revision. After its stint in the UNSC in 2011, 21, 22, okay, India's proposal with the United States as co-signatory to list Pakistani terrorist Abdul Rahman Makki deputy leader of the LET under 1267 sanctions regime was approved by the UNSC, including of course by China, making this the first listing with India as proposer for terrorist acts in Jammu and Kashmir. A very important point. Some points are important from prelims, some points are important from even mains point of view. So what does it say? After its stint in UNSC in 2021-22, what does it mean? From 2021 to 22. From January 1, 2021 to December 31, 2022. So India was a member of, India was a member of United Nations Security Council. At that time, India made a proposal. It made a proposal. What is that proposal? That proposal was signed by two members, India and USA. USA as co-signatory. So in that proposal, what they made is, there was a person, terrorist called as Abdul Rahman Makki, Pakistani terrorist. So in that dossier, in that letter they wrote, Abdul Rahman Makki. So he is the leader of which terrorist organization? LET. Okay. So UPSC will not focus up to this deeper level, because if we start learning about the terrorists to this deeper extent, then probably we have to forget our own freedom fighters. Okay, maximum what we have to know is LET is a terrorist organization. We need not know. So who is the deputy leader of LET? Okay, we are not preparing the list of LET leaders and all. But from the mains point of view, we can quote. So it has the least relevance from the prelims point of view, but understanding is important. Okay, understanding is important. So in 2021-22, India and USA, they signed a resolution proposal. In that, what was made is, this Abdul Rahman Makki should be brought under 1267 sanctions regime. So what is 1267 sanctions regime? If a person is brought under the UNSC 1267, then that person has to be arrested. He may be in any country. Okay. If a country does not play a proper role in arresting him, then sanctions can be imposed on that particular country. For example, if this terrorist is present in Pakistan, and Pakistan is not taking any kind of measures to arrest him, then the United Nations Security Council can sanction Pakistan. Okay, can sanction Pakistan. So in 21-22, this proposal was made by India and USA. Whether this proposal is accepted or not, was approved by United Nations Security Council. See, so United Nations Security Council approved this proposal. Now the UNSC permanent members, China, okay, so China, whether it could have exercised its veto power, China could have exercised its veto power, but it did not exercise the veto power. So approved by the UNSC, including of course by China. Even China also supported. Okay, making this the first listing with India as a proposer for the terrorist acts in Jammu and Kashmir. So this was the first time India made a proposal for including a terrorist under the 1267 sanctions regime, and that was approved by the United Nations Security Council. A very important point. Tomorrow in the examination they may ask a question in the prelims. So India has never made a proposal to list any terrorist under the 1267 sanctions regime. False. India's proposals to include terrorists under the 1267 sanctions regime has never been approved by United Nations Security Council. False, because that has also been approved. So this is the understanding required. Okay, but here what is important here is again 1267 sanctions. Okay, UNSC. Here China being a permanent member, it could have blocked it, but China did not block it. China did not block it. So this understanding is important. This understanding is important, right? Okay. Next. However, even the proposals under 1267 sanctions are given a religious color by Pakistan. So Pakistan, what it says is, whenever India tries to bring any of the terrorists under 1267 sanctions, it gives a religious color. It says that yes, he is a Muslim, that's why you are targeting him. In that fashion, it tries to give a religious color. It made desperate attempts with trumped up charges to list 4 Indian Hindus as terrorists with the intention of getting at least one Hindu listed. So now majority of the terrorists who have been listed into the 1267 sanctions, so majority of them are Muslims. So none of the Hindu till today has been listed as a terrorist under 1267 sanctions. So Pakistan made every attempt to bring a Hindu, to declare a Hindu as a terrorist under 1267 sanctions, but it never succeeded, because the United Nations Security Council did not get sufficient proof to prove that the Hindus were involved in some kind of terrorist activities. So again, this is important. In the examination, they may make a statement. Consider the following. So there are some Muslims who have been designated as a terrorist under the 1267 sanctions. 1. 2. There are some Hindus who have been designated as terrorists under 1267 sanctions. How many of the statements are correct? Only 1, only 2. Both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Okay, so only 1. So again, that kind of questions can be framed here. The council rejected every one of the Pakistan's requests, not once but twice. So this declaration never succeeded. So why? Thanks to the US and other Western countries. So US, what it did then is, whenever Pakistan brought a resolution to declare any of the Hindus as terrorists under the 1267 Sanctions Act, so who exercised veto? USA exercised veto. USA exercised veto. Okay, veto, very important. Now, 1267 sanctions is associated with General Assembly or Security Council? Security Council. Member states have seen through Pakistan's game. So all the member states, all the members of United Nations Security Council, they know what kind of games does normally Pakistan try to play. Okay, hence they are well aware of its games. On Kashmir, the next and most obvious stated priority will be Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so the Pakistan's next important focus will be on Jammu and Kashmir, because Jammu and Kashmir, it is always disputed that it belongs to India, it belongs to Pakistan. But after independence, the king of the Jammu and Kashmir, he declared that we want to be part of India. We want a separate nation, but some of the provisions will be towards India. So that was the declaration made. Now after the revocation of article number 370, so Jammu and Kashmir is part of India. Okay, completely India. But Pakistan, it again and again, it tries to bring the issue in the United Nations forum. Okay, stating that Jammu and Kashmir belongs to it. Pakistan pushed for discussions on Jammu and Kashmir in the council through its friends when India abrogated article number 370 of the constitution. Okay, so when was article number 370 of the constitution abrogated? In which year? 2019. Okay, 19. Very important. So article number 370 of the constitution was abrogated. Okay, was abrogated. So Pakistan, it tries to bring this issue in the United Nations Security Forum repeatedly. Okay, repeatedly. Two close consultations were held in United Nations Security Council with China acting as a cat's paw. Okay, not important. But nothing happened. At least 4 of the 5 permanent members have little appetite for this issue. So why Pakistan is not succeeding? Why Pakistan is not succeeding in bringing the issue of Jammu and Kashmir in United Nations Security Council? What is the reason? Only China, to some extent, it is interested, but rest other countries, it may be USA, it may be France, it may be UK, or it may be Russia, they are not interested. Hence, Pakistan is not succeeding in bringing the issue of Jammu and Kashmir in United Nations Security Council. An important point to note. Okay, note. Again, no, 370 is important, but other points are not important from Klim's point of view. When a Pakistani journalist in New York asked this writer, when India entered the UNSC in January 2021 about the unfinished business of article number 370, the reply he got was this: that was only unfinished business. That the only unfinished business was the return of Pakistan occupied Kashmir to India. Okay, it's a very interesting thing. See, look at the diplomat. So the person who has written this article, so when he had been to USA, when he had been to USA, that is New York, so at the person, a Pakistani journalist in New York, he'll ask to an Indian, the person who is the author of this, writer of this article, T.S. Tirumurti. So when T.S. Tirumurti, when T.S. Tirumurti had been to New York, at that time a Pakistan journalist will ask him, okay, so when are you going to end up the matter related to Jammu and Kashmir? Okay, at that time the author will reply, so already Jammu and Kashmir problem is solved. We no longer have that issue. Next we are focusing on Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Now Pakistan occupied Kashmir, some part of the Kashmir is under the control of Pakistan. Our next target is to bring the Pakistan occupied Kashmir back to India. So this was the reply. It means the type of aggressive measure which India is taking. So already the article number 370 has been abrogated and Jammu and Kashmir has been made the integral part of India. So the next goal of India is to bring the Pakistan occupied Kashmir and back into the control of India. So this was the stern reply of Indian person who had visited USA at that time. So from this we understand the type of developments that are going on with respect to Jammu and Kashmir and the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. With elections having been conducted and a popular government in place in Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan would find it hard to make an issue. Okay, so already elections are over in Jammu and Kashmir, and now this issue will enjoy less importance, because in Pakistan also they will raise the issue of Jammu and Kashmir to get the popular votes. Once the election is over, once they win, then they are least interested in Jammu and Kashmir related issue. Again, at the time of elections, they will bring back the issue. So that is the case. So China, which incidentally occupies a part of the POK after Pakistan ceded it to them, will only be too happy to keep the pot boiling. So Pakistan occupied Kashmir, is there, right? A small part of it, Pakistan has given it to China. Actually, it belongs to India. But as it is under the control of Pakistan, it has given a small part to China. Hence, China is always happy that Pakistan should fight with India with respect to POK. Okay, so that will be in China's interest. So that is what they want to say. So again here, this point is important. So POK, some part of the POK has been ceded by the Pakistan to China. True or false? Ceded means has given it. Okay, has given it. The Pakistani ambassador to the UN made a case in the media on how the recent decision by the International Court of Justice decision on Palestine applies to Jammu and Kashmir. Again, important international organization came into, we encountered here, International Court of Justice. So what is International Court of Justice? Organ of UN. See, what all things we have learnt, everything has a relevance. Okay, the notes which I have prepared, everything it has a relevance here. So now International Court of Justice, what all things you will recall? How many judges are there as part of ICJ? 15. So once a judge is elected, what will be his tenure? 9 years. Okay. So Pakistan, what it is saying is, whatever the International Court of Justice, it has given a decision with respect to Palestine, the same applies to Jammu and Kashmir as well. So this is, he is making a claim. Again, not important. This much detailed aspects is not important. What is important here is International Court of Justice, its background. Okay, its background. One cannot stop Pakistan from trying to do what it wants, as its presence in the UNSC will give it the lever to call for discussions on Jammu and Kashmir. So give it lever to call for discussions. Okay. So now Pakistan is already part of the United Nations Security Council. Now no one can stop Pakistan from bringing the issue of Jammu and Kashmir, because as it is part of the United Nations Security Council, as it has become member for 2 years, now it will be having advantage to bring that issue. Okay, but whether that issue will succeed or fail, that is secondary. But Pakistan has the leverage, advantage of bringing that issue to the global stage. India is aware that P5 usually does not like to prevent discussions, but decides whether it should be open or closed and whether there should be an outcome. Okay, so again, not an important point. So when I say P5, what is P5? Permanent 5 countries. So generally, whenever Pakistan brings any kind of issues related to Jammu and Kashmir, whether permanent 5 countries will be interested to discuss? Yes, they'll be interested to discuss. But generally, they are not interested whether it should bring an outcome or not. Okay, means whether a decision has to be taken, that is secondary. But P5 will generally make a discussion. Okay, discussion. The use of Islamophobia. Okay. So Pakistan has used Islamophobia as a weapon to dilute the fight against terrorism, and going by its recent attempts to target India. So what is Islamophobia? Just search it. What is phobia? Okay, prejudice against Islam. So what is Islamophobia means? So generally they make a statement. For example, all terrorists are Muslims, but all Muslims are not terrorists. So this is what prejudice statement. We should not make like that. So such kind of atmosphere has been built as far as Islam is considered. So in order to overcome this Islamophobia, so we have to overcome this Islamophobia. So Pakistan is making an attempt. Okay. So we don't want this tag. We don't want this prejudiced perception of the world towards Islam. They want to overcome it. Hence, Pakistan has used Islamophobia as a weapon to dilute the fight against terrorism. Okay. So, and going by its recent attempts to target India. So, the same issue it is using to target India as well. When the United Nations Global Counter-Terrorism Strategy was discussed in 2021 and again in 2023, Pakistan, supported by the OIC, sought to introduce Islamophobia as a justification for the terrorism. So, a strategy was brought. What was the strategy? Global Counter-Terrorism Strategy. Who brought it? United Nations. United Nations brought a strategy called as Global Counter-Terrorism Strategy. Okay, it was discussed in 2021. Again, it was discussed in 2023. Okay, Pakistan, supported by OIC, Pakistan, and it was also supported by other organization of Islamic cooperation countries. So sought to introduce Islamophobia as a justification for the terrorism. They said that why we are doing terrorism. Pakistan said that yes, we are doing terrorism. But why we are doing terrorism? Because the whole world is looking at us from the terrorist point of view. All of them, they are calling that Islam is Islam is involved in terrorism. So hence we are we are involved in terrorist activities. So these statements were made by Pakistan, okay, to support terrorism. Why? What was the reason? Because of Islamophobia. So as there is a Islamophobia, hence what we are involved in terrorism. So they use Islamophobia as a justification for terrorism. Okay, we support terrorism. Why? Because people are calling us terrorists, so we want to overcome that tag. Hence we are using using terrorism as a tool. So this was a statement made by Pakistan. It means the global counter-terrorism strategy, whether it was supported by Pakistan or not. It was not supported by Pakistan. Okay, Pakistan as well as other OIC countries. Okay, other OIC countries. India stood alone and had the reference removed. Okay, so India was in favor of this. Okay, so India did not allow this Islamophobia term to be entered into that strategy. Okay, strategy. So again, sometimes when such kind of terms appear, right? So information which is present here is not sufficient. So what we have to do? We have to take this point and we have to extract extra information from the internet. So what is this strategy? Who brought this strategy? Who supported it? Who did not support? So all these things are important. Okay, important. But when India left the council at the end of the 2022, the United Arab Emirates and others inserted inter alia Islamophobia into the UNSC presidential statement for the first time in February 2023. So as long as India was part of the United Nations Security Council, India did not allow the United Nations Security Council to introduce a word called as Islamophobia. But after India exited from the United Nations Security Council, they were successful in adding the Islamophobia term to the United Nations Security Council presidential statement for the very first time. Again, not important from Plim's point of view. In March 2024, USA, China and Russia voted in the United Nations General Assembly in support of an OIC resolution to appoint UN Special Envoy for combating Islamophobia. A very important point here. Okay. So, what is Islamophobia? As we discussed. So, people are just saying, building a narrative that Islam is involved in terrorism. So, in order to bring that perception down, a special envoy, a special team was built. That is called as UN Special Envoy. Okay. So, who brought this resolution? Organization for Islamic Cooperation. Organization for Islamic Cooperation, it brought a resolution and a committee was formed. That is called as UN Special Envoy. So, what is the role of this envoy? To combat Islamophobia. So the people, the perception that they have Islamophobia, so that has to be brought down. So this resolution which was brought by USA, whether USA supported it? Yes. China supported it? Yes. Russia supported it? Yes. So in the United Nations General Assembly, when OIC brought the resolution to appoint a UN Special Envoy for combating Islamophobia, so this resolution of Organization of Islamic Cooperation was supported by USA, was supported by China, was supported by Russia. A very important point to note. Okay, so in the examination they may ask, so who among the following moved a resolution in United Nations General Assembly to appoint a special envoy for combating Islamophobia? Who? Organization for Islamic Cooperation. Okay, next statement they may make. So USA extended support, China extended support, Russia extended support. True. Okay, they extended support. India? No. Okay, no. Early this year, Pakistan raised the issue of bilateral India-Pakistan Indus Water Treaty. Very important. So recently we discussed about river system, but we have missed this point. Very important. I think we have missed this point. We shall discuss it again in the geography related things that we are discussing, right? So we discussed about the Indus tributaries, etc. But we forgot about the Indus Water Treaty, a very important treaty. Okay, so we shall discuss, because Indus River, it is shared between both India and Pakistan. Okay, so when we say Indus Treaty, again the Indus River tributaries to come to your mind. So Indus River, where does it originate? Tibet, Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan. Next, tributaries of Indus River. This is Indus. Tributaries of Indus River, Jhelum. Another tributary, Chenab. Next, Ravi. Next, Satluj. Next, Beas. Okay, this is Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Satluj. Next, here we have, yes, one more river, Jaskar. Okay, Jaskar. Here we have Nubra, show. So these things should come into your mind. Next, where does Indus originate? Tibet, we have seen. Where does Jhelum originate? Jammu and Kashmir. Where does Chenam originate? Himachal Pradesh plus Jammu and Kashmir and Pakistan. Where does Ravi originate? Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, a part of Pakistan, India's Punjab, and next Pakistan. Next, where does Beas originate? Himachal Pradesh plus Punjab. And in Punjab it joins Satluj. Where does Satluj originate? Himachal, Tibet, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab and Pakistan. Which are the first two rivers to meet? Jhelum and Chenab. Next, Ravi. Next, Satluj and Chenab will meet. Okay, finally it will join Indus. Okay, Indus. So these things. Now what is Indus Water Treaty? We shall discuss about this treaty in a separate class. Otherwise we can, we shall have a separate class for it, Indus Water Treaty. So as per the Indus Water Treaty, the river water, some water will be used by India and some water will be used by Pakistan. But there is constantly a dispute between India and Pakistan with respect to the usage of the water. Okay, so the treaty which deals with the usage of the Indus river water is called as Indus Water Treaty. So a very important point from both prelims as well as mains point of view. So later on we shall see in detail about the Indus Water Treaty. So earlier this year, Pakistan raised the issue of the bilateral India-Pakistan Indus Water Treaty in the Council, which is purely bilateral agreement with its mechanism to resolve disputes. Okay. So Indus Water Treaty, it's a bilateral mechanism between India and Pakistan. But Pakistan tried to bring this issue in the United Nations, Security Council. Okay, Security Council. This is the misuse of the United Nations Security Council with the only benefit of catering to domestic audience. Okay, so such bilateral issues are not supposed to be raised in United Nations Security Council, but Pakistan has raised it because just to make the domestic audience happy. So the people of Pakistan will become happy only when the Pakistani government raises the issue of Indus Water Treaty in the United Nations Security Council. So to make the people of Pakistan happy, it has raised the issue. But the bilateral issues, such kind of issues, any country is not supposed to raise at such forums called as United Nations Security Council. Okay, Council. During its stint between 2021 to 22, India played a robust and positive role in strengthening the international peace and security, while many UNSC members misuse ARIA formula meetings. Okay, so during its 2-year tenure, 2021 and 22, India has played a very important role. Okay, important role, positive role, but again nothing is important. While many UNSC members misuse ARIA formula meetings. Okay, what is ARIA formula? Very important prelims point of view. What is ARIA formula meetings? A dispensation where any UNSC member can circumvent the council and hold informal meetings on any issue. So ARIA formula is what is in UNSC. So apart from the council, they can have informal meetings. That is called as ARIA formula. Only that much you remember. India avoided doing this and stuck to its priorities in the council. Very important. When India was part of the United Nations Security Council in 2021 and 22, whether it was involved in ARIA formula meetings? No. India did not have any kind of informal meetings. So it completely stuck itself to the rules and regulations. So it did not engage itself in ARIA formula. It did not engage in any informal meetings. Again, an important point. Pakistan, which have no such compunctions. So Pakistan, it follows such kind of ARIA formula meetings and all Pakistan does, but India does not do. Okay, do. It is unfortunate that Pakistan ignores the many multilateral synergies between India and Pakistan to work together on the UN issues. Okay, there are many issues on which India and Pakistan, they can work together in the United Nations, but Pakistan is less interested in such kind of issues. This is the point being made by the author. Again, not important from Plim's point of view. Both countries have similar interests in UN peacekeeping. So when it comes to United Nations peacekeeping, India and Pakistan both have equal interests, as they are large troop contributing countries. So what troop contributing countries means, when it comes to UN peacekeeping, India will also send its soldiers, Pakistan will also send its soldiers. In combating climate change, when it comes to combating climate change, that is reducing the greenhouse gas emissions, both Pakistan has a role to play and India has a role to play. But now what the author means to say is, they are not focusing on such kind of issues like climate change and even peacekeeping, rather they are focusing on bilateral blame gaming. Okay, blame game. as they faced several climate challenge-induced floods and natural disasters. So natural disasters are occurring in India as well as in Pakistan. So in United Nations, both the countries should focus on such kind of issues. But Pakistan is not focusing on such issues. It is entirely focusing on other issues. So the author is trying to make a statement that rather than focusing on unwanted things, they have to focus on the issues which concern both the country. For example, it may be climate change, or it may be UN peacekeeping, or it may be natural or floods and natural disasters. Okay. In achieving the Sustainable Development Goals 2030, again an important point came. Sustainable Development Goals 2030. So Sustainable Development Goals 2030 associated with which organization? We have discussed. It is associated with United Nations Development Program. There are some goals to be achieved by 2030. Now the next, they are not given here, but you have to find out how many goals are there and how many targets are there. So there are 17 goals and 169 targets. Okay. So what are these 17 goals? 169 targets are not important. But what we need to know is United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. They have to be achieved by which year? 2030. How many goals are there? 17 goals. Now, if you are confused later on, you can search it. There are 17 goals and 169 targets. Okay, targets. Next, when were these adopted? In which year were United Nations Sustainable Development Goals adopted? It is not present here. You have to search for that extra information. Means whatever is there, whatever the content is there in the newspaper, you have to go beyond it. And then you have to explore. Then itself you will be preparing from the exams demand. Okay, exams demand. Okay, is in focusing on the debt problem of the global south. What is the debt problem of the global south? What do you understand? Yes. Debt means people have taken loan but they are unable to repay. An important country which is facing that problem is Sri Lanka. So such kind of, so India and Pakistan, they should focus on such kind of problems. But again, Pakistan is not focusing on such kind of problems. So that is what the author is focusing. The writer is focusing. Or in reforming multilateral financial institutions. What are multilateral financial institutions? Can you give me a few examples? World Bank, IMF. So these are examples of multilateral financial institutions. So what is the reform? So you do not have a complete picture. Now when it comes to World Bank and IMF, who has a greater power? Who has a greater share in the vote? USA. USA and some other countries, they have more voting power compared to other countries. So when we say reform multilateral institutions means each country should get equal power. That is the reform that we are supposed to bring. So now Pakistan and India should focus on such kind of aspects, but Pakistan is not focusing on such aspects. It is focusing on entirely terrorism and other related aspects. So that is what the writer is trying to emphasize on. Sometimes even functional contacts with Indian diplomats are frowned upon by its mission. So even some kind of type of normal contacts are also not being established by Pakistan with India. So not an important point. Okay. Next, Pakistan's internal political churning, economic collapse and misplaced priorities have prevented it from strengthening multilateralism and the UN in a world wrecked by conflicts. While its terms will be high on rhetoric against India, it is difficult to see how UN member states will be persuaded to play its game. Okay. So again, paragraph is not important. So what do we understand here is, so Pakistan is very much against India, but how the other countries of the United Nations Security Council are going to support Pakistan in its agenda is we have to wait and watch. So that is what he will conclude. Not important. Okay, not important. So with this we have come to a conclusion of the article called as Pakistan at the United Nations Security Council, the points of its compass. Okay, so now we got a picture, right, how we are supposed to read a newspaper, how we are supposed to read an article. There are many aspirants who read the newspaper. They'll read like a story. They don't know what to comprehend, what to skip. But here it has to be taken, the reading has to take place like reading between the lines. Again, we have to make the points from Klim's point of view. We have to understand. We have to understand, that is important. But when it comes to making points, which are the points that we are supposed to make? Okay, because when you start making any notes from the mains point of view, the chances are very high that you will produce entire article once again. You will reproduce the article. That is not required. The key points have to be jotted down, and from the examination point of view, you have to jot it down from the prelims point of view. The same point will also be beneficial from mains point of view as well. Okay, mains point of view as well. Okay, so again, as I had asked you in the previous class, so you have to frame what? Multiple choice questions from this article. Okay, only this article. So yesterday, as you had shared by writing in your notebook and all, no. Okay, so make some effort, try to type in the group and then send a text message. Okay, not the photo of the question that you have written in your book. Okay.